What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Today's a little Q&A that we just put together real quick because I was gone for the weekend, so I didn't have a lot of interaction on here. I kind of caught up on everything that was going on last night when we got home and answered emails, answered comments and stuff like that. So if I didn't answer your comment or email or whatever, throw it in there again because a lot of them got lost in the threads and the feeds. But we had one that was put up on my This Is Steroids video. And the guy said basically the testosterone has been around for a long time and it's not new, and he wouldn't trust anything but the testoprims in Mexico and the DECA Ready Jacks and the Sustanon Ready Jacks. Now, back in the early 2000s, I went to Mexico and Cancun, and I didn't see any testoprim there. What I did see was testovirin, primatestin, and Sustanon Ready Jacks. Now, it's not that they weren't there. It's that testovirin was a very, very popular brand, and people knew what it was. So the pharmacies would have a tendency to stock what the Americans knew were good, knew was potent, and they knew the names. Just like testosterone cypionate and testosterone enanthate. There's not much difference between the two, but cypionate was getting pressed in all the magazines for a while, so everybody wanted SIP. So you couldn't find enanthate anywhere. The primatestins and stuff were gone. Everybody wanted those Steris SIP bottles back in the late 90s. Well, next thing you know, people figured out, well, cypionate, the price is going up because people want it because it's supposedly better because they know what it is. So the enanthate prices came down, so people switched to the enanthate, then that price went up. So it's a constant game of what is good, what is not good. We don't know because it's black market. We have nothing regulated in them. And, there very well could have been testoprim down there that I didn't see because I didn't know what I was looking for back then. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what testovirins were. I didn't know what primatestins were, the Ready Jacks, etc. So it is possible, and also possible that testoprim back then had a packaging similar to the testovirins, because companies realized, well, if they have a testovirin, and testoprim is pretty much the same exact product as testovirin. It's 200 milligrams of enanthate and 50 milligrams of propionate in one ampule. They made a packaging similar, hoping that people would be like, oh, this is a generic, or, oh, it's the same product, and not even realize it. Testoprim, testovirin, like, it's enough to make that jump to where, even the pharmacists down there in Mexico would be like, oh, it's the same product. So it's possible that they were all down there together, and I just didn't understand what it was. Now, here's the big thing that I always put up. I always put up, if you have proof that I'm wrong, post a picture. If you have proof that I'm wrong, post a video. Not science explanations, because I'm not a science guy. I don't understand all the book work, and I never claim to understand all the book work, but I do know that all these science guys who claim to have all the answers of everything, most of the time have just read books and don't look good themselves. Or some of them don't even train with weights. They just like to come on and bust balls about science for some reason. So if you're not training with weights, why are you on a fitness bodybuilding channel? It doesn't make any sense to me. But we have this guy, Ches7755. So he goes on my follow-up to maintaining steroid gains. And he says, really, I've done 3 or so proper cycles. So I don't know what the fuck a proper cycle is. So I'm not sure what this kid's talking about. And I've been off for almost a year now, and I did proper PCT, which I'm not sure what proper PCT is because there's no fucking proper protocol, so I don't know what he's talking about. And I've kept 90% of the gains I got from the cycles. So I straight up said, okay, let's see before and after non-touched up pics or video. If you keep the gains, you should be just as lean when you're off as you are when you're on. If you don't have pics or videos, then it didn't happen. Calling him straight out, saying, if you really did this, then show me. And he says, well, obviously I'm not as lean as I was, but I still kept most of the gains. So if you lost 20 pounds of muscle and gained 20 pounds of fat, you call that keeping your gains? I call that your body's at a new set point, doesn't want the muscle, and you got fat. That has nothing to do with steroids. You didn't gain fat. Steroids didn't produce fat on your body that you then kept when you came off. Your body composition changed dramatically in your fat as opposed to when you were lean before at a higher body weight. That doesn't mean you gained shit. That means you lost all the muscle, which proves exactly what I just said. People perceive themselves as keeping the weight because they're keeping the weight. Like this is right now, I kept the gains. What are gains? Gains of lean body mass, lean muscle, or gains on the scale? I can go on a cycle, gain 20 pounds, and then as I'm coming off, eat my way back up and still have that 20 pounds 2 years after the cycle was off. Doesn't mean that it's the muscle I gained while I was on. Doesn't mean I look any better. I look like a bag of shit by the time I'm done getting fatter. But I kept the gains, so I can run around and tell people I kept the gains. Well, shit, you can't take your shirt off because you're fat, but you maintain the gains. So when the girl comes up in the club and she's like, wow, you kept your gains, she touches your stomach, it's all doughy and shit, and you're like, oh no. Or she's like, take your shirt off, let me see. And you're like, no, these are my gains, you can't see my gains. That is what I'm talking about, okay? Being fat is not keeping gains. And straight out, I asked him how much muscle did he keep. Put up a picture, put up a video of these things. Show us what you're talking about. Because anybody can sit behind this computer and talk shit. Anybody can talk about how they got the answer, they got this, they got that. And I love the people that say, you know, you got 23 years involved in this and you don't know shit. I mean, if you did anything, if I fucking wrote on the floor with a pencil for 20 years and didn't fucking move, I would learn something that people don't know about writing on the floor with a pencil. So there's nothing you can fucking do for 20 years. You could take a shit for 20 years straight, every day, all day long. And I guarantee you know more about taking a shit after 20 years than somebody that's only been doing it for 2. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, no, bro science is just, it's just way cool, right? So that's my thing, guys. If you're going to prove me wrong, prove me wrong. The perception is, people's reality is their perception. If people are going to think what they want to think and see what they want to see, and even reality sometimes doesn't give you a good check until it's too late and you've already made an ass out of yourself. In another video I was talking about how so many times you get somebody that, oh, I know a bodybuilder, my sister's cousin is dating this guy. Oh, he's into it like you, man. He won like titles and stuff. And he's like your size. Yeah, he fucking like eats all the time. And then you go to a barbecue that summer and they're like, oh, this is Joe, the guy I was telling you about. I'm like 230 and Joe's 160 pounds. And I said, oh wow, you compete? And he goes, well, I did the Mr. Forniker High School and I won the senior class competition. Forniker High School. How old are you? I'm 24. You're 24, 160 pounds. So when you were in high school 5 years ago, you won the senior class. Yeah, and you diet a lot? You eat a lot? Yeah, I do like 2 meals and 4 protein shakes a day. 4 protein shakes, 2 meals. Really? Well, what did you have to eat here? I had a chicken breast. He eats like me too. Okay, yeah, chicken breast. And then you're sitting there looking at him and you're thinking, does this guy really look like me? And then you're at the barbecue and then you see pictures come back on Facebook, whatever, the barbecue, and you realize, holy shit, I dwarfed this kid. This is how people see me? They see me as a 160-pound guy eating chicken breast? Or do they see this kid as being, 230-pound monster that's competing, a competitive bodybuilder? It just boggles my mind. And this is why you got to be careful about what you listen to, because perception is not always reality and reality is not always perception. But I have a good concept on reality and perception, and I understand a spade is a spade, a number 2 is a number 2, and fire burns, and ice is cold, and all that shit. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Do or don't, but don't half-ass it and say you do when you really don't. BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. www.biostraining.com is the blog. And looks pretty good there. And we're out.